the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat. With everything going on in this nation, we need some information, and that's why salt need to be stationed in your rotation. With real talking, real topics, real people, real problems. Think we need some help to solve them, and leave it up to Colin and the Donovan. Cause that's what's that? Let's get ready.
We're back to Salt to the Streets podcast. Social and political commentary. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? That's always and forever. That's right.
Salt to the streets.
Another fantastic episode. Everyday Normal Person's podcast.
Salt to the streets.
Upper left or the upper left? Just upper left.
Welcome to the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat. With everything going on in this nation, we need some information, and that's why salt need to be stationed in your rotation. With real talking, real topics, real people, real problems. Think we need some help to solve them, and leave it up to Colin and the Donovan. Cause that's what's that? Let's get ready.
We're back to Salt to the Streets podcast. Social and political commentary. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? That's always and forever. That's right.
Salt to the streets.
Another fantastic episode. Everyday Normal Person's podcast.
Salt to the streets.
Upper left or the upper left? Just upper left.
Welcome to the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat. With everything going on in this nation, we need some information, and that's why salt need to be stationed in your rotation. With real talking, real topics, real people, real problems. Think we need some help to solve them, and leave it up to Colin and the Donovan. Cause that's what's that? Let's get ready.
We're back to Salt to the Streets podcast. Social and political commentary. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? That's always and forever. That's right.
Salt to the streets.
Another fantastic episode. Everyday Normal Person's podcast.
Salt to the streets.
Upper left or the upper left? Just upper left.
Welcome to the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat. With everything going on in this nation, we need some information, and that's why salt need to be stationed in your rotation. With real talking, real topics, real people, real problems. Think we need some help to solve them, and leave it up to Colin and the Donovan. Cause that's what's that? Let's get ready.
We're back to Salt to the Streets podcast. Social and political commentary. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? That's always and forever. That's right.
Salt to the streets.
Another fantastic episode. Everyday Normal Person's podcast.
Salt to the streets.
Upper left or the upper left? Just upper left.
Welcome to the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat. With everything going on in this nation, we need some information, and that's why salt need to be stationed in your rotation. With real talking, real topics, real people, real problems. Think we need some help to solve them, and leave it up to Colin and the Donovan. Cause that's what's that? Let's get ready. to the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat. With everything going on in this nation, we need some information, and that's why salt need to be stationed in your rotation. With real talking, real topics, real people, real problems. Think we need some help to solve them, and leave it up to Colin and Donovan, cause that's what's that? Oh, let's get ready.
And we're back to Salt of the Streets podcast. Social and political commentary. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? That's always and forever. That's right.
Salt of the streets.
Hey, another fantastic episode. Everyday Normal Person's podcast.
Salt of the streets.
Upper left or the upper left? Oh, just upper left.
Welcome to the salt of the streets, coming at you every week with this food for thought. Hope you ready to eat. With everything going on in this nation, we need some information, and that's why salt need to be stationed in your rotation. With real talking, real topics, real people.
And we are back, and we're live with the Salt the Streets pre-show.
Yes.
We're out here.
Yes. Thank you for joining us, Donovan, Salt of the Streets. Obviously, my name is Donovan,
I'm Colin.
and we are happy to have you guys here. Episode 117. We were just talking about that. This is my notebook. Colin often refers to it as the Bible. This has essentially show maps for, you can't really see it because of the lights, and that's okay. You can kind of see it as the page is turned. But show maps and a picture of Dax, which is really funny. But
Which is really funny.
so, show maps from the very beginning of the show, and when this is full, probably in the beginning of next year, you can see the thing moving.
Yep.
Oh, no,
I was like trying to figure out where to put it.
That's really funny. When this is full, we're going to go over it and start talk about some of the stuff that's in here, because in the very beginning, I just wrote like core beliefs and stuff like that, things that I wanted to, that we're going to base the show on. And the very first thing is actually a quote from Thomas Jefferson. Tyranny is that which is legal for the government, but is illegal for the citizenry, which is
So
it's so
funny.
funny, right? Yeah, I didn't know. I could definitely not have told you that. If someone asked me right before that, what's the very first thing you ever wrote in that? I have no fucking idea.
No idea.
Yeah, so that's
That
really
is so
funny.
perfect. That means the foundational value truly runs throughout all 117 episodes,
Yes.
apparently.
Yeah.
Oh my
That's
God,
hilarious.
that's so funny.
So this has been a fantastic week. Well, it's been a big week.
It's been a big week.
Yeah, lots of stuff going on. Thank you again for joining us. Obviously, YouTube, Salt of the Streets, Facebook, fuck Facebook, Salt of the Streets, Instagram, Salt of the Streets. We have our own personal social media. There it is. I'm at alpaca_Donovan on Instagram. Calling it Big Bird Offie on both those things. You can find all this on saltofthestreets.com. We also have our Patreon, patreon.com/saltofthestreets, and we have Discord, discord.com/saltofthestreets. We have some special exclusive things in there if you want to go into the Patreon. Also, last week, we dropped our very first Salty newsletter that has an article written by me and an article written by Colin. Those are going to grow over time. Maybe more articles, maybe us linking more articles. I put an article in there and a picture and stuff, so those are going to grow and get better and better and better over time. Make sure you tap in there. We're going to be joined today by Creatrix, the Creatrix, Brandy. We'll find out what she wants to be referred as. I watched her stream last night. You watched her stream last night.
Yep.
Colin gifted me a
Subscription.
subscription. That's I was going to say.
Welcome to the Torch World.
Subscribership.
Yeah,
That's
subscribership.
That's not it at all. A subscription. I tried to watch her throughout the week. She's okay. Let's start here. She is a Twitch streamer. She's a
Yes.
photographer. Which you said snake handler extraordinaire.
Snake handler extraordinaire.
Yeah. So, so she's going to be on. We're going to talk about some politics in general. We're going to interview her a little bit, talk about her and her different career paths and what she's got going on. I Instagram stalked the shit out of her over this week. Went back literally to the very beginning and then just scrolled up. And
There you go.
Got really creepy about it.
Got a whole timeline of events.
It's going to be great. Yeah, so I have some really deep questions. We'll see. I'm sure that I'll mention something. She's like, what? Not I'm sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if I were to mention something. She's like, what?
How do
fuck
you
are
know that?
talking about? Yeah, so we'll
Every
see.
good interviewer has a question they pull out where the interviewee goes, "Wow, that's a good question."
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think that we'll probably have more of these type of things in the future. I haven't mentioned this to you before, but I think that this would be an excellent thing. Interviews specifically, would be a good thing for like Patreon exclusives.
Hard
you
yes.
know, just shorter, maybe hour and a half or hour long interviews with people that's like
Oh, yeah.
specifically about them. That we can also obviously have guests on and talk about that stuff when they're on. But I think that would be a really good.
Yeah, I'd be down with that.
Content. Yeah,
Hell yeah. Yeah, good personal interest pieces.
exactly.
That would be fantastic.
So this week, Colin, you were gone all week, right?
I was gone all week.
Before we talk about that, thank you again, everyone, for joining us. And you got to tell us what you had for breakfast.
For brunch. I've been doing brunch
What
because
you
of
ate
especially
before we got here really is.
I had a nice little scramble that I made up with some farm fresh eggs and some onions, some leeks, it wasn't leeks, it was bok choy,
Okay.
onion, some freshly harvested, what do you call those, chanterelle mushrooms.
Oh, really? From when you were out this week?
No, those, I came back to those. Carolina had found those somewhere.
Really?
Yeah, she got them, and they were pretty money. They're like nice, big, beefy mushrooms too. It almost feels like chicken sometimes when you're eating it.
Try mushrooms again. You know,
Mushrooms are legit, bro. It's the way to go.
My family used to eat mushrooms. One of the ones, just the regular ones you buy at the store, the little whatever.
Yeah,
they're
little
called,
like
you know?
yeah.
I
don't even know what you call those.
Fry them up in like butter in a pan, which is supposed to be really good. And I just
Oh,
didn't.
yeah.
I just did not fuck with it. You know, the only mushrooms I ever like were hallucinogens. Those are the ones that I like ate consistently.
I ate a lot of psilocybin,
And
but
those
nothing
don't-
else. No
and those
shiitake.
don't
No.
taste good. Like those ones specifically taste terrible. They're like
I've heard
supposed
that,
to,
yeah.
probably from nature. They're like, listen,
Don't
you
eat
can
this.
eat this. You're not gonna die, but it's a bad idea.
You're gonna have a bad time.
Exactly. So, so I can see why that would be the case. But, yeah, it's just I just don't fuck with it. But I should try it again now that I'm grown. You know.
Be a very healthy thing to do. I mean, there's so many. I don't want to say advances in mushrooms, but like the mushrooms people eat now are so different than when they used to be like your
Right.
basic white button mushrooms and stuff. They actually have flavor,
That's what they are. Yeah.
and you have a mature palate now. I'm sure you'll
Yeah.
enjoy it. I mean, you're about to fuck
Chanterelles.
down on one of these ducks that I murdered the other day.
Yeah, and I've never had. Like I told you, I've only had duck like maybe twice before, and it was in a restaurant. It was.
Oh, yeah.
So it definitely wasn't wild duck. It was.
Yeah, I think we ended up getting. We only got 4 because we kind of got shafted on the spot that we got.
Yes.
But we got a teal, which are smaller and ridiculously fast, and we got a hooded merganser, which is that cool black and white one I sent you. It's got like the
Hooded
fro and stuff.
merganser.
Yeah, dude. There's a lot of crazy names.
Yeah.
And I got a call it a shoveler, which is kind of a bigger bodied duck, but it's like a bottom feeder. It's got a shovel face bill, and it goes down there and digs and filters through the mud and shit in the ponds. And then the other one, we couldn't figure out what it was, but we think it was like a
But
smaller.
we fucking got it.
Yeah, we think it was
We
a
fucking
smaller common merganser.
Yeah.
I believe.
So
But-
I know that I've heard just on podcasts that like some ducks don't taste good. Like
That's because people are stupid.
Oh.
No, I'm just. You have 2 common types of duck, categories, and there's a diver ducks, and then
Yes.
there are I don't remember what they're called, but the non-diver ducks. Think like mallards.
surface duck.
Yeah, like the surface duck. Yeah, they eat bugs and stuff versus like digging around on the bottom.
Yeah.
But it's just like with certain fish that live in like stagnant ponds and stuff, they can get kind of a muddy taste to them. Diver ducks can taste a little muddy.
But they don't
But
always. It's just
No, and it depends on what you do with them afterwards. You let them hang for a little while, and some of that stuff comes out. And it's like I got ours in the fridge right now, the second fridge, just draining after I cleaned them and all that good stuff. So they should be good. Helps
so the way to-
clarify it.
So the way to do this, right? Because you're going to give me a duck, right? You're
Yep.
going to gift me a duck, and it's a whole
It's a whole duck.
a whole banger. So
Yep.
you said the best thing is just to roast it, right? Just
Yeah,
put it in a pan,
pretty
just
much.
roast it in the
You could
oven?
do that, and I would probably for that size of a duck, I would spatchcock it. So you go
Whoa,
from the
what?
basically you split it along the backbone, and then butterfly it out.
Okay.
So if it's like that, you're just doing it like that. You find a lot of spatchcock chicken and shit like that. They
Yeah,
take a whole
okay.
chicken, and it's like a half, and just butterfly it out. It just cooks a little more evenly like that. And ducks are so small generally. the majority of the meat you're eating is just the breast meat anyways.
Yeah.
And so it's a good way to do it. Put a couple slices in the skin, coat it with like a nice little sauce or something like that, and then oven roast them like that. They're pretty good. Dogs, what are you doing? Oh, she's getting upset. She took the cat toy, which, oh, the cat's not up there. We got cat cam.
Cat cam?
Cat cam right now is catless.
You
But
sprayed her.
I sprayed her when she jumped on the studio table.
I'm just saying so she ran. That's
Bitch
all.
can't keep me coming up here.
No,
She needs to learn boundaries.
Yeah. Empty cat cam. She'll be in
Yep.
here eventually.
Yeah, she'll be in eventually.
Yeah.
She likes to climb on that rope bridge. Hopefully,
I'm
we'll
trying to see
get
that.
an action shot of the rope bridge
You
today.
got a fucking outlet just right up in the middle of that wall.
Yeah, I think like back in the day, there used to be a TV up
Yeah,
there, and that's I
okay.
think where they plugged it in. But
Makes sense.
you know, since we don't live in here anymore, this is where I live now
Yeah.
in the podcast studio.
We should put a TV up there.
We could put a TV up there. We could be high class.
It would be good for guests. Be like, you see that fucking thing right up there?
Oh
This
yeah,
is the article we're talking about.
right up there.
Yeah.
That would be good.
When one of us gets a new TV, we'll take the biggest TV that we can find. You know, whoever has the biggest TV, and we'll mount it up there.
Did I tell you about my brother's TV?
No.
Oh my
Is
God,
It's just
So
stupid
it is
big.
stupid.
I'm sure it is.
It's like the size of the studio wall back here.
It's
I mean, it is
ridiculous.
giant. I have
Yeah.
never seen a screen that big outside of a fucking movie theater.
Is it like 75 inches or something like that?
That sounds about right.
And
Whatever a
Jordan-
giant ass TV is.
Yeah. Jordan's dad has a 75-inch TV, and he's mentioned it, you know, a dozen times. You guys want to come over? I got that 75-incher. Fire up the game on it. Yeah,
Dude,
no, that's
all the players
you
are
know.
life size.
Yeah, I'll be terrified. I can't. I don't get scared.
All of a sudden, a 400-pound mountain of flesh is coming right at me. I'm
Yeah.
gonna pee my pants on the couch. But yeah, we got ducks.
Duck hunt. The first part of the week was an elk hunt.
Yeah,
correct?
chasing elk in
This was
the
our-
mountains.
You've talked before that elk hunt around here is very short, right?
It's
Or
like
elk season. is
elk
very
season.
short
It's
around
a
here.
solid week, something
10
like that,
days
if
at
that.
the
Yeah.
most. Yeah.
But and obviously trying to work schedules in and around that. Yeah, so it would have been Friday to Friday, I think. I don't know, but either way, yeah, it was interesting. Up in the mountains this time of year is always frigid.
It was very
And
cold.
it was very
there
cold.
Snow when you were out there.
Yes, there was snow, which actually makes tracking the elk a lot easier, obviously, because
Did you see
fresh
any
tracks.
elk?
We saw some cow elk.
The no bull elk.
No,
Okay.
no bulls.
And do they a cow tag a thing, or is it only?
Cow tag is a thing. It's like
thing.
a special draw that you can apply for and get.
Yeah.
It's pretty rare, and there's only certain areas that are open to it. But yeah, it was a thing. It was about 5 days of just being wet, miserable, sleeping in the truck, just constantly uncomfortable. I got that new butane camp stove, which is pretty
Yes.
clutch, except if it's fucking frigid out.
Oh.
I've noticed that. It started out kind of strong, and as it kind of,
As it got colder.
as it got colder, as the sun
Yeah.
went further down and it got like 20 degrees, I was like I barely had enough heat in that thing to simmer the beer that the things were in.
Well, and at least the one that I have only has kind of two thin little metal wings on the side,
Yeah,
So the heat
that's the way to go.
retention- Yeah, so the heat retention in it is like okay. It's not great.
Yeah.
Does yours have wings in it? Or it
Hard
just,
no.
Oh.
It's just like a.
Okay.
I thought maybe the thing would unfold, and no, it's
Yeah.
just a carrier in it. I mean,
Yes.
it'll be good for like car camping in the spring and summertime, though.
Right.
It'll be good for there, but
Yeah.
not
And
for
it's-
bringing it up into the mountains.
Mine they're at an angle too, so they're not even full size,
Mm-hmm.
because like you said, they fold up on the inside of the lid and then it drops down.
Yeah. Anything really to get the windbreak. I think that's probably what that's mostly for. Oh yeah, you gotta.
I was
That way you don't
trying
have to see the door
this
now.
whole time I've been sitting here, I've been looking down. I'm like, don't look down, or you can see yourself look down. But I'm like, something is going on here, and it's this. Okay, so I'm
like
with it now.
every other week you show
Yes.
up and there's something new to fuck with.
Yes, no, I'm with it now. I'm here. Well, and usually you mention it, so but we didn't really talk
Nah.
when I got here. Fucking traffic. There's like 3 lights in Paulsbo that are out, and so it's Saturday
Really?
in the middle of the day. Yes.
Oh snap!
Just because
Yeah, we lost power yesterday for a couple hours, which wasn't too bad.
when the lights were out, I was like, "Fuck."
Yeah.
I was like, I really hope that that's not how it's going to be out here. So
I'm glad. Was it windy and shit out there?
No, so it had to just be from this morning because it's been in Keyport, Paulsbo. It's been piss and rain and windy. Obviously for like 3 weeks, but it's just that time of the year. But that's been going on the last 2 days, pretty good. So the big light at like Bond Road, and that one was out, and so that one was taking a million years. Everything is real backed up. And
everybody forgets that, like, how you have to do a 4-way stop.
Yes.
At that point, you're like, okay, guys, this should not be news to anybody. We know how to do this. Oh.
Yeah, so it's real backed up. So it took me a little bit longer than normal to get here, and then of course I got to stop at the gas station. It's the ritual. We gotta get some alcohol poured out here. We do. We gotta get.
Yeah, what is going on here?
Yesterday, Creatrix on her stream is like, I don't know, like maybe we could take some shots. I was like, is that okay? Or like, you obviously didn't, which is okay. You obviously didn't watch the show.
You don't know what we do.
Yeah, because we've been in this for a while.
Pour that last little bit.
Here we go.
Doctor paging Dr. McShaky hands over here again. Yeah, we went through a whole Buffalo Trace. Oh, yeah. Just throw that in there. Oh, perfect.
Wow.
Look at that.
So, like, 2 shows, 2 pre-shows, 2 shows, and then 1 to start it. So that's not bad.
I don't know if that's a healthy thing to think about, but fuck it. Let's do it. Cheers, bud.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's like, I don't know. We only do this for 4 hours. Yeah.
Well, one show was with Larry, so it was probably closer to 5.
That's true.
Because Larry comes on. We've been telling people how long we're recording, and they're like, I don't understand how you... Like, we could talk for more than that. Even longer than that.
We always have to cut ourselves off.
Yes. Yeah, there's
That's so funny.
Almost always a topic, maybe 2, that gets cut out. We're like, we'll just talk about it next time. We can figure it out later.
Yeah.
So... I think people just don't get how much we care,
Yeah, right.
You guys just don't understand.
You
guys understand.
You guys understand. I will say though, I almost don't understand. It was like when that Dr. Gupta went on Rogan, right?
Yes.
I was talking about how he like never had a 3-hour long conversation before. Like, so you never hung around like a campfire with your buddies and just sat there and chopped it up for 5 or 6 hours in the middle of the night drinking beers? Like it's sad to me that most people look at a 3 to 4 hour conversation and like have an anxiety attack about it. Yeah. It's like, well, no, that should be like normal, man.
We used to talk for almost 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
We would be quiet to listen to podcasts, generally at the same time or right after one another.
Yep.
We'd be like, hey, have you listened to this one yet? No, I haven't yet. Oh, it's really good. You got to listen to it.
Yeah, once you're done with that, let's talk about it.
Exactly. And then we're like, okay, I just finished. So is this what you were talking about? When you get to this part, let me know. It's like 24 minutes in. Let me know what you're doing with that. And then we got to talk about it. I want to know what you think. We used to do that for fucking 8-9 hours a day.
Easy.
And part of it was just because of where it's at. But yeah, it's hard to... When he also said, Sanjay Gupta also said on that podcast that the people at CNN were his friends, which makes me think that he might actually kick it with those people outside of work, because if he's a doctor in his regular time and then he's also a correspondent on this show in part of his free time, he has a family, how much time do you really have for friends outside of those things?
That's like hanging out in the break room friends.
But some people, those are the only friends that you have, are the people that you have at work.
That's true.
So he might really kick it with those people.
Yeah.
And if those are the people that you're kicking with, I wouldn't want to talk to Brian Stelter for 3 hours.
No, man.
I don't want to talk to Rachel Maddow for 3 hours straight. Even if she came on this show, I'd be like, yeah, we got like an hour and a half if you want to come on. That's cool. And then we'll do a postmortem afterwards, and then we'll figure it out from there. But I don't want to talk to them for 3 hours. So,
I don't think they'd have the capability to talk for 3 hours, man.
No.
If they don't have their cue cards and their scripts and the producer talking in their ear, I don't have faith that any of those primetime hosts could talk for 3 hours.
Right.
Just freehand, just go for it. I don't think you could.
Not consistently. I don't think.
Now I really want to do it just to put them on. Just like, all right, step up to the plate. Let's see what you got.
And I mean, you saw it with Sanjay Gupta on Joe Rogan. That how many times Joe was able to poke holes in what he was talking about, and that was medical information. So if you're talking about people's opinions and what they think about the world, and
well, if it happened on Rogan, it's medical disinformation.
Right. But I think a lot of the ideology that those people carry is so inconsistent that it wouldn't be able to stand up to a 3-hour conversation.
Yeah, I don't know if they even have an ideology necessarily, like personally. It's like, do they even have their own thoughts? It's hard to tell because they're all thinking the exact same thing.
The opposite of what the Republicans are saying.
Yes.
The opposite of Donald Trump. That is what their ideology is.
Yes. Whatever that is.
Not that guy. is what our
Not
ideology
that
is.
guy.
Yeah. So.
Oh, man. So.
Elk hunt.
Elk
yes.
hunt. Yeah,
Where
it was
at? Where did you go?
kind of up in Cleellum. If you think Cleellum, south, and then east. Like that whole mountain range.
Yeah.
Just tore it all up
Need a
one
map.
way from the other
Need
one.
a state map.
And it was, so you know where I-90 is,
Yeah.
right? So you take I-90 going east, and it's about halfway across the pass. Maybe just on the other side of the pass.
Okay.
It's not that far away, but nice little town. My brother's in-laws have property over there, so it's a nice, he's very familiar with the area.
Yeah.
So we go over there, we were deer hunting up there a couple weeks ago.
Oh, okay. This is that same spot?
Yeah.
Same area?
Same area, and we screwed around with that area for a while, and because when we were doing the deer hunt, the place we were hunting the deer at, we had a ton of fresh elk signs. So we're like, let's go up there and see if they're still around. And unfortunately, they were not there. It's a weird place because, like, with elk hunting, depending on where you're at, like, you're trying to follow, like, the migration of the herds that move through the area. And on the flip side, I was saying conversely,
Yes.
I don't know if that was the right way to say
No,
it,
that's
but but like you also have these things you call like local elk or local deer, right? The ones that don't really migrate from
Okay.
point to point, they're just hanging out.
Makes sense.
And we've come to the conclusion now that that entire area, there's no real herds pushing through. It's all just local elk. And so you just kind of need to get lucky and bump into them where
When
they're at.
that area.
And yeah, I mean, the closest we got was the day after that snow came down, and we went out and there's fresh tracks around.
What day was that?
That was on Tuesday? Tuesday? I'm still trying to figure out what day it is, man.
Yeah.
I don't even know what's going on.
At least we always record on Saturday.
Exactly. This is my placeholder. I
I don't
know.
know what the date is, but today is Saturday.
Yes. Oh man, and you get out in the woods for a week plus. You just forget
Right.
everything. You just know what time the sun comes up and when the sun goes down. That's about it.
That's why I always wear a watch when I'm camping.
Oh, hard,
I have
yeah.
some bearing on what time it is.
Yep.
You know.
Otherwise, you'll lose it, man.
Yes.
But yeah, we got close on Tuesday because
Katie, go
that
be on
snow
the
came in there, and she's just trying to attack you.
She's just hanging out down here.
Yeah, if anything, we'll just preempt her and put her up there. There's Kitty Cat. What's up, Tifa? Meow. But yeah, we got pretty close on Tuesday because we just head out first thing, got into a place where we had seen some sign, picked up some tracks, followed them for miles and miles, and got nowhere until we got to this big area where they had obviously been bedding down. There was probably 3 or 4 of them total. It looked like at least one calf, and there was a big one, some big tracks and then a couple set of like medium tracks. So we're thinking probably 2 cow and a big bull. But ultimately, we got to this big bedding area a few miles in, probably 4 miles of tracking, and then all of a sudden they just grew wings and disappeared, which happens. And so you spend all day and you feel good about it, and all your senses are like super perked up and your adrenaline's running, only to just have them ghost you. And it's so frustrating, dude. So frustrating. But, ultimately, it is what it is.
What are signs of, because you said that the last time when you were out deer hunting, you saw some signs of fresh elk. What are signs of fresh elk?
The biggest one is fresh poop. Fresh droppings. You get
makes
down there, you
sense.
touch them, you feel them. There's like a
Who touched it,
tackiness
you
to
or your
them.
brother?
We both do. I mean,
You
we-
both touched
yeah,
it?
and you come
Both
across
get a
the
good
thing, and if
handle on
there's
it?
and if
Second
there's
opinion?
exactly.
Okay.
This is not weird.
No,
You
I'm
go
just
out there, and yeah,
to
you touch
people
it.
who've never hunted. You know what I'm
This
saying?
is
Like
true.
I've never been hunting before.
You got to get your hands up in there, bro.
Certainly, if we were out there and you're like, "This is what you do," this is what you do. That's what
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do. But sitting here in civilization in your house, holding your
Seems
cat,
weird.
and you're like, "Yeah, you just grab its shit and you decide how long ago it was that it dropped this shit."
Yeah.
And then
Based
you come
off
back
of-
in a couple weeks.
Like texture, consistency, temperature. If you're lucky, if you're real close, it's got a nice give to it. You can
Yeah.
actually feel it's a little warmer than anything else. You can also tell sometimes if there's been a frost. you can tell some at the bottom, some of the moisture gets wicked out of there, and so you'll have some frost on the bottom, which means that there's still moisture in there, so the freeze is still pulling it out. So it's probably like a day old at that point, but it's hard to tell.
Wow.
But that, and then you're looking for like tracks in
Yeah.
in the ground, and then after a while you can kind of look, and if there's a bunch of pine needles that have fallen into it, it's probably a little older. If there's the pine needles have been stepped on, that's one thing, or it's freshly tossed dirt. It all just means different stuff. You're looking for real near presence, something that was around. Think about if you're just
Right,
walking in the
right.
forest, that kind of stuff.
Which speaks to the perception necessary, because you not only have to find the track, but you then need to consider the tertiary variables that are playing into, like you said, the way that it might appear, the way that
Yeah.
it might feel. And
Is this track going to be worth following?
right?
Or is
right.
this a week old plus?
Yeah. Which obviously cuts directly against the media perception of hunters being big fucking idiots who drink beer all the time
Yeah.
while they're hunting, right?
I mean, we do that too, but
I remember Cam Haynes
and there
is
are
always
definitely a lot of those out there,
Yes.
which give us a bad name.
Cam Haynes is always so upset about the way that Hollywood presents hunters.
Oh, it's terrible.
Which is not good. Yeah, and I didn't really think about it prior to him bringing it up, but then I've noticed it since then. I think he is a little bit sensitive about it, but he's not wrong.
Yeah.
That they are portrayed in a generally negative light the vast majority of the time.
Yeah.
But
It's like I told you that when we were doing the deer hunt a few weeks ago, on our way down, like we ran into a ton of hikers and this, that, and the other thing,
Yes.
and they're all asking, like, oh, any luck? As I'm walking down the mountain without anything in my backpack. How do you
Right.
think my trip went so far?
obviously not.
But there was
You
the
did
one
good.
older couple that had come by and was talking about it and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, hey, thanks for helping to help. Thank you for trying to help maintain the balance. And I'm like, this is a dude that understands it.
Yes.
Might have been a hunter in his past life, but he was also had a British accent too. So I don't know what's happening there.
Well, I remember
Their hunting's different.
excuse me, before you dick. It was all so cool for so long. I was like, maybe she's gonna fall asleep here,
As soon as she starts, as soon as she thinks she likes you, she goes, "Nyah."
Anybody's watching this just like, what the fuck did he just do to that cat? But maybe you could see it. We'll look back later.
Just
She
slid her
bit-
off.
She bit me. Anyway,
She's vicious.
I remember before I knew about hunting, thinking that it was dumb and shit for no real reason, other than you're just murdering animals, and then.
It's definitely something I say when I'm up in the mountains too.
Yes,
Let's
yeah,
go
but
fucking
it's a
murder
different-
something today,
but
dude. Come on.
Different, but then learning about the conservation aspect of it and
yeah.
all the different details of how much money of conservation comes from hunters, and
Most of it.
it's only pure ignorance that leads people to be against hunting, in my opinion. There isn't a legitimate. It's fine if you don't want to do it, but to be abjectly against hunting, it seems stupid. It seems
definitely.
nonsensical. Doesn't seem to be a legitimate reason. Like I said, any of the reasons that I had before are cut directly against the reality of at least 70% of the money that goes to conservation comes from hunting licenses and fees and tags
Gear.
and ammunition and
Oh,
guns and gear, all the different things that anybody would purchase to go hunting.
Yep.
A percentage of that goes into animal conservation.
Oh, yeah.
And just how much those people care about animal conservation and how vital hunting of certain species is to, like you said, maintaining that balance, especially deer in certain areas like Michigan and stuff like that. If you don't have people hunting deer, they will literally overrun the entire state. There's almost two. I knew the statistic at one point in time, but there's almost as many deer as there are people in Michigan or something.
I
like
would
that.
not doubt that for a second.
Just a ridiculous number of deer that
Yeah,
exist in that
because they
state.
have
It's there's
white-tailed
no
deer out
reason.
there, and whitetails fuck like jackrabbits, man.
Yeah.
They are all over the place. There are millions harvested every year, and there are always more the next year. It is wild. But yeah, most people don't gain the real respect for it until you go out there and just devastate your body for a week at a time and get absolutely nowhere.
Be committed to it.
Yeah, and I'm for deer now, I'm feel real comfortable about where I'm at with deer. I know where the deer are going to be. I know what to look for. I do this, and then it's just a matter of whether you get kind of lucky or not and they show up. But, you
Yeah.
know, and this last year we saw a bunch of does, and then my brother had that encounter with the buck the weekend after. But unfortunately, it was like, we think it was way too old. Because at a certain point, like, you know, the older a deer gets, or even an elk, the more, you know, points they'll get on their rack of antlers, right?
Tines?
That's a whole, yeah. Well, yeah, you have brow tines that come down, and then, yeah, each tine on the antler.
Or points.
Yeah.
Called points. Yeah.
Often called points, but in certain areas, you're limited to a certain number of points, if you will.
Has to be like a maximum, or you mean just a minimum?
It's usually a minimum.
Yeah.
And in my case, for elk, it's a maximum. In the area I was doing,
Really?
Yeah. There's the place that we were at is what they call a spike only. So you
Okay.
can only take somebody that's basically 1 or 2 years old.
Yeah.
And they have a methodology for that. It's kind of strange and back-ass words depending
Does
on
that-
how you think about it. But
Does it change per season, or it's always that way? And
they'll occasionally change it depending on the seasons. And it's all
Yeah.
based off of, you know, Fish and
Numbers.
Wildlife is
Right.
numbers and all this good stuff, and reporting numbers from hunters and all this. And like with elk, like you got to cut the feet off, and you got to turn the feet in if you harvest
Wait,
an elk.
what?
Yes. Because with elk,
To where? Where do you take the feet?
there's certain like locations to go drop them off.
You just freeze the feet and then take the feet in?
No, you once you harvest, before you go
you
home, you
gotta-
drop them things off.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, yeah, no bueno. But
Wow.
what they're looking for is this disease called CWD, chronic wasting disease.
Yep.
And affects the feet,
Okay.
the hooves, if you will. And yeah,
Whoa.
it's pretty bad because I think it's a prion disease, kind of like mad cow and shit like that.
Prion.
But it's
Well, I don't know what that
supposedly
means.
it's like a brain
Okay.
parasite disease.
I'm learning so much just in the last 2 minutes. Anybody
See?
else on this stream is lucky.
This is how legit. This is how legit I go with the hunting. But yeah, you do that because they're trying to track the spread of the CWD that's been
Okay.
coming up, and it's mostly like they find a lot on like ranches, like elk ranches,
Yeah.
where people raise them domestically and stuff like that. And but it's slowly starting to work its way up here, which is kind of scary because, you know, they're afraid that ideally it's not supposed to taint the meat. And then you can actually send some meat in to have it tested to see if it's affected or something like that. But by then, you've already most likely eaten some of it or whatever. But, you know, I don't think there's been a case of anybody getting CWD from eating CWD contaminated meat. But it's a thing. And so, yeah, you got to do that. One of the guys up at the elk camp that we stayed at for a couple days had just gotten one the day before. And so we helped him cut the legs off and stuff like that, load him back into his truck.
Do all 4 legs or just
Yeah.
one leg?
Yeah, all 4
Like
of them.
from the knee down?
Just, you know, maybe from
Okay.
like, think about like your shin down.
Pretty much wherever you're not going to eat.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And at that point, yeah, those
That
guys'
is
legs
fucking
are so
weird.
so small.
That's a weird thing. That's like Kaylee told me, our friend Kaylee, when she
Mm-hmm.
used to work at the animal hospital, when you have a dog that has rabies, there's like some very weird policies that come in play
yeah.
into like cutting the head off of the dog, and like it's a super weird process that when she's
Yeah.
telling me about it, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like it's 2019, right? When you're telling me this, and she's like, yeah, this is just how you have to handle it. I'm like, that I don't understand what you're saying to me right now.
Oh yeah, like to actually test on if something has rabies, they have to like cut their head off, and
Yes.
like it's messed
Which
up.
is fucked up.
It is so
Yeah.
messed up. Which is why, if your dog or cat is not vaccinated for rabies, go do that shit. It's very, very serious.
Yeah.
Imagine being the person who has a dog. Well, you know, never leaves home. Blah blah blah. It's an inside dog. Blah blah blah. And one day, whatever, somebody comes over to your house and it bites them or whatever it is. Now you got some issues going on because, you know, there's a dog bite incident and you don't know if that dog's got rabies, so the person can't tell. Blah blah blah. And so state might say, well, sorry, you got to give up your dog to see if it gets, you know, get it tested for rabies. So it's really cheap. If you're a pet owner, go get your animals vaccinated. Vaccine shill,
Oh, that's hilarious.
which is funny. But yeah,
There's also, I don't remember what the name of the disease is, but dogs can get it. Well, it's a dog disease, but they get it from like stepping on areas where dogs have shit that had that disease. Puppies get it really easy.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't remember what
I'd
it
have to
is.
ask Carolina.
Yes, I'm
She'd
sure
probably
she
know.
knows exactly what I'm talking about. Kaylee was telling me whatever this disease is, it kills puppies, right? and you get them vaccinated for it. And if you have a dog that has it at your house and then you move, you don't have to declare that when you leave.
Well, it's because every
And-
dog owner picks up their dog's poop, right?
And it can live on the ground for like 10 years.
Oh!
Yeah, that disease. And so if you have a puppy and you don't know that the person who lived there previously had a dog that had that, and you put your puppy outside.
That's terrible.
And you don't have to. Yes, I'm sure that Carolina will know exactly. what I'm
Yeah,
talking
like
about.
I feel like
cannot remember.
Yeah. I know we've talked about it before. It's right on the tip of my tongue, but I
Yes.
can't.
It's fucked up, man.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Yeah.
But
Here we are. Vaccinations for all. COVID, whatever vaccinations you want.
just
You
get them
think
done.
it's the right thing to do. Dogs don't know any better.
No, the poor doggies.
Poor dog.
But yeah, it was an adventure. Luckily, we had some luck with. Oh, I got to tell you about this, right? Usually, when you're hunting ducks, right, you put yourself up in a position so that when you call a duck in, or if they're going to see your decoys out there, they're going to be coming right for you, and they will like slow down at a point as they kind of flap right before they hit the
See
water.
what's up with it?
As well, they'll circle up pretty high, see some
Yeah.
other ducks, and then come down because ducks
Okay.
have incredibly good eyesight, which is why you got to go full camo. Like there's no orange or anything that you wear because they'd obviously see that and just not want any part of it. But yeah, usually they'll come straight on or at an angle like that where they're still coming towards you from the front. But the spot we were was not exactly that kind of situation. So they would be coming in from the sides, and they'd just be hauling ass right by you, man. And especially that little teal that I got. I was very proud of the way I shot that day because, man, it's hard enough to hit a moving target.
Yes.
Right? Understandably, you got a scattergun in your hand, so you got some help with your pattern and stuff like that. But
you also
man.
don't want to pepper it all full of
yeah, no.
shot.
No.
Like it's you can work around it obviously, but you can also.
I mean,
fuck your
and the
teeth up on
pattern, you're still shooting it's not that big a pattern.
right? Because you have that choke on your gun too that'll keep it pretty tight, right?
Yeah,
Did you take
I
that.
have 3 different chokes for that shotgun. Yeah, and I was
Oh.
using my mid-range because we were so close at that point. But man, those things, we missed a couple of them right off the bat as they were coming through, and I mean it's like, shoo,
Yeah.
shoo,
How
they're
do
just
you-
flying, dude.
How do you make sure that there aren't other people like on the other side of there if nobody's wearing orange?
In this particular place, all the blinds that you go to are pre-built and they're pre-stationed.
Okay. So you
But I've
won't
been in
shoot
places
anybody.
where I've been peppered by other people.
Yes.
And it's usually, I don't know the distance on it, to be honest, but like there's these people out there we call sky blasters that shoot at stuff way too far away, and it pisses everybody off. But
and
if
then
you,
it will fall down.
yeah,
Yeah.
and by that point it's just kind of like getting hit by hail.
Yeah.
It's just annoying, and then you're yelling at people because they're being fucking idiots about it. But most of the time you could see a blind set up, you see people set up, especially when people go out. It's usually pitch black still, and so you're watching headlamps and things like that, and you
okay.
could see where people are at.
That
and
makes sense.
people are communicative, but yeah, it's a strange deal. Duck hunting is a whole nother level. There's a lot of dumbasses out there hunting big game, but there's even more out there hunting ducks.
Right.
I don't get it, but
It's probably generally regarded as easier.
yeah,
Even, even if it isn't. You
yeah.
know?
When we go out on our first hunt, I'll probably take you on a duck hunt first.
Yeah.
Because it's a whole nother experience. It gives you the experience of actually killing an animal, and then most of the time when you shoot a duck, it may not be fully dead right away. So you go out, you harvest it, and then you have to my methodology is it's sitting there, it's all fucked up. You just pick it up and then you just wring its neck a few times.
That's so crazy.
Because you want it to be over as
Right.
quick as possible, right? But I remember the very first time I did it, I was real hesitant to grab this alive thing and then kill
Right.
it with my bare hands.
Right.
But you get over it.
But
You get over it.
And it's like if you think about it, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
you at first you're like, God, that seems so fucked up. But you're like, well, how would it be killed if it was on a factory farm? They're gonna pull its head through a cone and fucking slit its throat, and
Yep.
it's just gonna die.
Yeah.
So, what is better? So,
Yep.
yeah. It's
It's weird.
no less brutal than
Yeah.
what they would experience on a farm.
Yeah.
Unless they're on a super small family farm. But in which case, how else are you gonna kill it? You
Yeah.
have to slit its throat probably. I don't know how else you're gonna kill an animal like that.
Yeah, when we did turkeys and chickens at my parents' old house growing up, we'd have a traffic cone.
Yes.
That we'd cut the end off a little bit, and then you
Yes.
just put them in there head first. The head comes out. You put it against the chopping block, and done.
Yeah.
That, and it helps with the flapping, because as soon as you cut something's head off, they flap like crazy. And a lot of times they'll break their own bones, go right through the skin and shit, because they're flapping so hard. Yeah, it's pretty fucked up. But it's not a... It can be relatively violent.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, killing animals,
Yeah.
you know, you got to
Well,
imagine.
The next step after you kill something like that is, then you got to gut it.
Right.
And it's, like, freshly
How do you
killed.
gut a chicken, like gut a bird?
You got to
the
go
neck?
in... Nope, you got to go in from
Through
the
the
back
beehole.
door. You know, around the back door, and then you
Yes.
just get up into that cavity and pull everything out. And it's, you know, and then you're seeing intestines and all the things, and it's
I think it was...
even more different. It's one thing if it's a small thing like a chicken or a duck, but when you do that to a deer, that's when it gets weird, because then you're like, literally there's a pool of like hot blood inside this cavity. Then you're having to
Right.
like pull out the gut cavity and like all the stuff,
all
and
of
it gets
everything, which
yeah.
is a lot of stuff. All the guts inside of
Oh,
an
it's a
animal
lot,
that
man.
big is a lot of stuff.
it's a lot.
It's a violent pre-show. I remember
I know.
my friend Cody telling me, because Cody's a hunter, you know, he got a deer this year, right? I showed you that.
Yeah.
I think the first thing he killed, I think he said it was a pheasant, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Pheasant's popular.
It was a decent-sized bird, I remember him telling me. And he said that he like stepped on the wings and just pulled up on its
Yep.
feet, and the butthole like just rips and everything comes off. And I was like, that
Yep.
is the craziest thing I have ever heard in my entire life.
Oh, yeah.
But
It works
that
great.
just seems to be the way to do it.
Cat
you know?
cam.
Cat cam.
Oh
Here we
yeah,
are. This
there
is-
she is.
we just waited.
I
45
love
minutes
it.
For cat cam. That's the only reason we talked about hunting
Yep.
for 30 minutes is just to try.
All
and
right,
get
get
the
excited,
cat.
girl. Nope, she's just gonna hang out there.
Just do
And
something.
then
Make it worth
Yeah,
our while.
if she starts climbing on that thing, we're jumping back.
it's just like fuck you.
Yeah,
Not even-
but she loves just to hang up there now. It's like her favorite spot. But yeah, the only thing I don't like about that necessarily is you're skinning them at the same time. So if you're just gonna debone the meat and all that stuff, that's one way to do it.
Okay.
But otherwise, you got to go through the painstaking process of plucking and, you know, prepping. You know, it looks like a little chicken at this
Right.
point. Like the legs
The
cut
gut.
off at the joint, and, you know, the wings are cut off at the top joint like that, so you can tuck them in like that and then
And
roast
on
them
a
up.
duck, the skin is delicious, right? So you
Oh, yes,
you want to
man.
keep it on there. You
Yes.
don't want to skin the duck. You
Yeah.
want to.
I mean, it depends on what kind of prep you want to do.
Right.
I ended up doing 2 skin on, 1 skin off, and then the teal was so tiny I just breasted it because there was not much meat
Skin
on there.
on the breasts?
No,
No.
I
Just the.
just the meat, and then I'm gonna slice those up nice and thin and make some jalapeno poppers out of those. Those would be really good.
Wow.
But yeah, and then I don't know quite what I'm gonna do with the skinned bird yet, but I might do some kind of a crock pot situation on that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously the one I'm gonna spatchcock and do a roast that way.
I want a crispy skin on it. You know.
You
what I'm
gotta have the
saying?
crispy skin.
Yeah, I might fucking. I got that smoker. You know, maybe I'll smoke it. Like, is that maybe a good way to
That's
go about
legit.
it? Okay.
So the only thing,
Spatchcock and smoke.
spatchcock and smoke. I would smoke it before you spatchcock it. It'll hang better.
Okay.
But the only thing about duck, the cautionary tale.
Yes.
Well, I guess there's 2 things. One, you really got to watch for pellets
Right.
because that steel and tungsten was not good for your teeth.
It'll fuck your teeth
You will
up.
hate it. And the second thing is you be very, very, very afraid of overcooking it.
Right.
Be
right.
very afraid because there's almost nothing worse on this planet than overcooked duck meat.
Maybe I won't smoke it then. I've never smoked anything. I don't want to fuck it up. So.
Oh, you
I
just
don't want
a
that
little
to be
bit
the
on low
first thing.
heat.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
I'll do it in the oven.
it's a really good delicacy, man. People used to love it, and nowadays it weirds a lot of people out.
I'm doing it in the oven. I'm just
Do it up.
decided. I'm roasting it in the oven.
Yep. I'd give it to
gonna-
Jordan because she's an expert. You know,
I'm gonna get some fresh herbs.
rosemary.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be good.
And I'm gonna. throw
Oh,
it in
fuck
there,
yeah.
Some butter and shit, and I'll.
Maybe roast some garlic on that.
Yeah. There you go. Open it up. Throw some butter on there while it's cooking.
yeah.
Get the skin nice and crisp. Okay, that's what I'm doing.
Yep. And yeah, just a couple slits in the skin. That way it expands the right way. We get otherwise you get a tight things, and it's weird. You can't be doing that shit.
No.
So on that lovely note,
Yeah.
we got to wrap this up because we have an appointment to make.
Yes, and you guys can see all these things, all these pictures. We'll post them because I posted my breakfast this morning. Tried some new pancakes this morning.
Oh yeah.
So some protein pancakes from like Orgain or some shit like that. So it's all plant protein pancakes.
Oh nice.
It was good. Yeah, and it's like with an egg and milk, and there was like 13 grams of protein, I think.
Oh,
I made way too many pancakes.
Yeah.
Fucking way too many.
They're good
Literally a
to
whole
they're good
plate
to
of
keep though.
pancakes. Yes, so I put them in the freezer because Jack will eat pancakes for breakfast.
Yep.
And I made like some little silver dollar pancakes. They're delicious. They're absolutely fantastic.
I think I
So,
saw that on your Instagram today.
it was delicious. Sausages, bacon, pancakes. Had a nice apple with it. Some coffee in the Movember mug. Movember's going on
yeah.
right now. I forgot to pimp that at the beginning. That's happening. Made my first donation this morning because I forgot to do yesterday. So we got the first 25 are going. I hadn't pimped the website yet because I wanted to be the first one to donate, obviously, because that looks better. So I'll start pimping that now over the next few weeks. But that's there. Movember.com. Search for Donovan Phillips. Obviously, YouTube, Salt of the Streets. We've been here. Instagram, Salt of the Streets. Facebook, Salt of the Streets. Patreon.com, Salt of the Streets. You can go there, become a patron, and check out the tiers. Become a patron. Help us make more better content. So I got lost there for a second. Discord, you can also access that through the Patreon. Some special secret things, little articles and stuff like that. We have our own personal social media. I am at Salt of the Street on Twitter and at alpaca_Donovan on Instagram. Calling it a Big Bird Alfie on both of those things. You can find all this on saltofthestreets.com. I gotta slow down. I was listening to last episode's finding clips. I'm like, you gotta slow the fuck down. Calm down. Slow down. Don't swear as much. Stop saying as often.
It's the way of the road, bro.
Go. That's where I'm at. So try to be more present. We're out here. I think that's the last thing. Yeah. We will see you soon with Creatrix. I've been calling her the Creatrix, and I don't even know if that's because that's not what her name is. That's what I've been saying, and I do the same thing with the upper left and everybody fucking else. You
just like to give everybody the title.
Your title. Yeah, it's your title. This is who you are. So Creatrix, Brandy, the photographer, the snake handler, whatever you want to call her. We'll be here on the full episode here in very shortly. So
Word.
Thank you guys for joining us. That's everything.
Peace.